I have anything profound to say. Oh, let's see. Oh, it doesn't give me options. Is it just, oh, it is recording. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let's get started. Well, welcome to our Ben Woodward leadership call, and I'm honored to try to fill in the shoes of Ben Woodward. I love these Tuesday morning calls. It just really gets me excited, reminds me of just the wonderful possibilities we have. And start here, manage participants. Let me mute everybody just to kind of do that right there real quick. And maybe to begin, the current Costco magazine on the cover has this guy by the name of Colin O'Grady, and his claim to tremendous fame is he just recently crossed Antarctica, not just crossed it, but did it unaided. That is amazing. What that means unaided, nobody dropped food along the way. He didn't use a sail, no dog sleds or anything. He just did it by himself, walking step by step to give him his supplies, sleeping bags, quite a bit of substantial calories that he needed to take. I think it was 7,000 calories every day that he burned. That was all carrying with him on a sled that was about almost 400 pounds. And it took him, I think it was almost 60 days to make that trip. And so he's the first. And that is absolutely amazing when you think of something like that. That is so powerful. Imagine, probably of all the areas of the world, that's something that's wonderfully beautiful. You've probably seen pictures of just this stark beauty, and yet on the other hand, this vast frozen expanse that is very dangerous. And you know, when the sun's out and blue and shining, it's spectacular. But most of the time when he was out there trudging along, he had maybe 20, 30 mile an hour headwinds. Average temperature was about 30 below. With the wind factor, that was maybe 60 below effectively. Every little tiny part of skin could not be exposed or it'd get instant frostbite. And just imagine going like that. But he named this great undertaking. It was called the Impossible First. The Impossible First. Well, that's I don't know if that's a good affirmation or not. And as he began to pull his this huge sled, beginning his journey, that was his first thought. This is hard to pull. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And kind of thinking, well, maybe I did name this right. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And he struggled. And the first day, he only made 2 miles. But day after day, it was actually 932 miles, the crossing. Isn't that absolutely amazing? And the reason he did it, why? Well, he's this super high achiever athlete. He's done marathons and things like that, but he's actually gone on to do Mount Everest before and other amazing feats. And he just got this idea to do something that had been tried and failed many times. I was reading about someone the first of this year who tried and failed, and not thinking arrogantly that I'm going to be able to do this for sure, but just fascinated with this idea of being in the process of trying something that had never been done before in an area that was, again, so harsh and yet so beautiful. Now, the physical challenge, you can imagine, was overwhelming, but even more difficult, being there all alone, just like that first few steps, thinking, wow, this is hard. Imagine day after day, well into this, where any wrong move, imagine, you know, these gusts of wind continuously, and he's setting up his tent. If the wind caught a hold of that and his tent went off, he would be dead. Everything had to be carefully practiced and orchestrated ahead of time. What about physical preparation? Well, I just imagine the endless miles, day after day, of conditioning his body by pulling this weighted sled all around for miles and miles, doing that day after day. Pretty tedious. It reminds me of Simon Sinek talking about start with a why. You have to have a pretty big why to want to do something and push through that. And then he was doing miles, like some of those miles typically were like 50 miles a day. Some years ago, our grandson wanted to do his 20-mile merit badge. And so we thought, okay, we'll go along, and say they drove up from Tri-Cities because we got a lot prettier terrain to hike on. If you're going to walk 20 miles, you might as well do it in the trees and where it's beautiful. And so it was beautiful. But I've only done 20 miles once in my life, and that was with him. Before that, I think our longest trek was maybe 5 or 6 miles. And I usually think, hey, that's enough. But walking 20 miles, I slept really good that night. Imagine doing more than that, pulling a sled with a headwind. And I just think day after day, that doesn't sound very fun at all. And so how we did this is a lot like Tony Robbins talks about, having these, what he calls incantations. Most of us call them affirmations, but he would just say over again and over again, this mantra: you are strong, you are capable, you are strong, you are capable, pushing through day after day. I'm just amazed. Now, one of the things I think is really interesting, start with a why. His big why he talks about was he wanted to prove that this would be possible, and kind of bring people along in this journey, that it would cause a ripple effect of positivity all across the board. He hoped that what he accomplished, if he did this, that message would be a story. It would be a vehicle for other people to just realize the limitless potential in their own lives. I think that's just a really great idea. You know, along that line, you can look up all of these spectacular accomplishments that people have made. One of my things that I'm totally fascinated with is mountaineering, and I just think rock climbing. I'm scared to just get on a ladder. I've got this extension ladder, and I could get up maybe about 10 feet off the ground, and any possibility of falling past that, I'm just not into it. Now I ski and I sit on a chairlift, but the first few times on that was just kind of scary. And I always put the bar down. I just can't imagine being out on sheer rock. That just is real scary. So I'm referring to Alex Honnold. He is a one-of-a-kind, amazing superhuman that recently climbed El Capitan all by himself, solo, unaided. That's amazing. You know, doing that. Wow. You know, just imagine any wrong move, you fall and you die. That's it. No room for any mistakes. And how did that happen? Well, first off, he's just obsessed with rock climbing. If you see him, years and years of practicing every day, he loves it. He's passionate about it. And you see his physiology. If you look at his hands, they look like gecko hands. They're just you know, amazing strength. And if you watch a video about him, he climbed and climbed and climbed with aid. And then just gradually had everything memorized. Every move was in his brain. And the questions were about, are you afraid of that? And he says, well, if I was afraid, I should not be on that mountain. He was just really cool. Just like Colin O'Brady going across to Antarctica. So much of that is mental as well. Just controlling yourself and just kind of getting in your own brain, loving it with passion and having just no fear. If you haven't seen that, just get on YouTube and type in Alex Honnold or climbing, you know, soloing El Capitan. That's really, really inspiring, very fascinating. Well, why am I talking about that? Well, I just kind of both of those guys, they just talk about this idea that, as Colin said, you are strong, you are capable. One of my favorite stories along this line goes back to Jesse Owens, who is one of the most famous people in all of the history of the Olympics. And when he was just a young black kid, he was attending a high school seminar, and the great Charlie Paddock, who at that time was the fastest human being in the world, was going around to high schools, and he was just doing, talking about achievement. And at the closing thing, he said something. He said, "Who are you? Do you know who you are?" Just addressing the audience. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you're capable of? And then he said, "You are a child of God. You live in the United States of America, and you can become anything you want to become." Well, hearing Charlie Paddock and his great accomplishments in the field of athletics, Jesse Owens, that single moment, he made the decision that he wanted to follow that same course. And what's going on here? I think it's my phone here. Oh, it's Jeff Isom calling. Missed FaceTime call. Anyway, hi, Jeff Isom. I'll catch up with you. But anyway, I just think, wow, what kind of potential do we have? And I would just like to say, you are a NECAN associate, a distributor. You have limitless potential. You're a child of God, and you live in the United States of America or Canada. You live in North America, and you can become anything. There's never been a better time in the history of the world to start a business. And I just get so excited when I think about this. Now, just like if you're going to go across Antarctica or climb El Capitan, it takes a lot of careful planning, practice, following procedures and getting it all down. Success in any area, it's just kind of a lot of similar things. There's a lot of overlap. The thing I love about NECAN is if you fall in NECAN, you're not going to die. I just love that. It's all upside and ongoing. Every day we get to climb, and every day we get to sleep in our own magnetic sleep system, drink wonderful water, live a better life, be in the process of accomplishment. I believe just the human spirit, why we hear of these great accomplishments, landing on the moon, we could go on about all of the things that happen, is the only time we can truly, really be happy is when we're in the process of accomplishment. Zig Ziglar said something that just kind of stuck in my mind because he said it so many times. And he says, I believe that we're engineered for success, that we're designed for accomplishment, that we're endowed with seeds of greatness. Aren't those beautiful words? And you are. There isn't such a thing as an ordinary human being unless you decide to be ordinary. Choose to be extraordinary. And as you meet people and you learn about them, so often they're ordinary. And then sometimes an idea that happens that I think again and again is adversity actually becomes the seed of great benefit and makes them exceptional people. As an example, Colin O'Brady, he probably wouldn't be doing all of these great things except for as a teenager, he was watching this crazy thing in, if I remember right, it was Taiwan, I think it was Thailand. These people doing a jump rope, and the jump rope was on fire and they were jumping it, and he just thought, I'm going to get in this, and so he started jumping, and the flaming ropes wrapped around his legs. 25% of his body was burned, especially his legs. The doctor said, wow, you're probably never going to be able to walk normal. After months of rehab, it took him hours just to be able to get off a chair and stand up. And so he got into running and stuff like that as part of his therapy, and eventually did a marathon. So probably if that hadn't have happened, he'd just kind of be a happy, normal person. But who wants to be normal? And so look at NECAN as a roadmap. And also, one of the most wonderful things is so many people have gone before and it's a proven thing. What of a, just kind of another thought along this, Columbus, when he came back and was receiving all these wonderful celebrations, he was actually, the king brought him in to this amazing dinner, sitting at the table next to him, a place reserved only for the highest aristocrats and all of the fancy people all around him, serving him all of the wonderful regalia that would be only for the high aristocrats. One of the people there just kind of looked at him with disdain and said, I don't know that that's such a special thing, that I suspect that there's probably many people in Spain that could have done what you did. And Columbus didn't say too much other than it just happened that part of the place setting was a cup with a boiled egg on top. And he said to everyone, he says, this egg right here, I challenge anyone to stand that egg on end and just have it freestanding there on the table. And so after a few minutes, everybody gave up. And then he took the egg and just went whack and kind of busted down the end. And it sat very stable on its broken end. And he says, nothing is easier than following something that someone has already done. Well, you know, that's a cool thing. Anybody could stand a boiled egg on the end if they followed that direction right there. I love Nikan because we have a proven path. Everybody's done this before. The great diamond Denny Denton said something that just, I think, is so much to do with what we're doing. He says, if you can sell a product, you can sell a product again. And if you sell a product another time, you can make it a habit. And if you can make it a habit, you can get rich. And if you can sponsor one person, you can sponsor another. And if you can sponsor another person, you can sponsor another. Now, all of us on this call, all of us, I believe, have a strong testimony, just an unwavering belief in these products, how wonderful they are, how they consistently work. And if we can realize that the compensation plan, our business plan, is just as predictable, it always works if we work the plan. That is such a wonderful thing to think about. Everything about Nikan works. The market is immeasurable. We've got amazing leadership right now. We are an elite team, and we know the way. And it's so simple. It's just reaching out. Everything that you want is on the other end of a telephone. That's just, you know, day to day, that's what it is. Calling people, making appointments, going and seeing them, letting them see these wonderful products, becoming delightfully surprised when they work again and again, and then showing them the way. Who wouldn't want to have a business like this and be on a mission instead of just having a job? This is so exciting, this moment. And I just want to kind of wind up here. We need you. We really need you. There's so many people that are connected through you, and only through you will they hear about these products. We've done some neat things, but think about it. You know, coming on to wow, 45 years Nikan's been around, and we've touched a lot of people. But on the other hand, we haven't even scratched the surface. There's so many people that can and will and should know about Nikan, and their life will be changed, but only for you. But for you, they won't hear about this. They're connected through you. And so if you think about that, their destiny is in your hands. You got to do this. If you don't, shame on you. So we need to run and go better, especially when we see the super achievements that people that really are dedicated, that work really hard. Goodness, if someone can walk 50 miles pulling a sled in a 30-mile headwind, my goodness, we ought to be able to pick up the phone and call a couple of people. I just think, wow, you know, and you're not going to die. You're really not, I promise. I don't know of anyone in Nikan that died from doing the business. To the contrary, I know a lot of people that have really gained a lot of happiness and success by making those phone calls. And think about who called you. Aren't you grateful? Aren't you glad you are in Nikan? Don't you wish everyone were? So I sure love you. Let's get on the trek and let's just keep it going. We really got something worthy to do, and we can change the world with this. And if you do it, other people will look to you as an example, and they'll realize they can do it. And so many people, they're going to have to see you do it first. So do it. You can. There's never been a better moment. Get plugged in with people that are doing it, and just get associated. Listen to positive things every day. Make calls every day, and then success becomes a certainty. Just like if you start and make that step, and then make the next step, and then the next step. That's how we eat elephants, one bite at a time, and that's how we go to Royal Diamond, is one phone call at a time, one meeting at a time, one demo at a time. And so let's bring some people along with us. And woohoo! I think I'm getting excited about it. I just sponsored myself all over again. But love you. Have a great day. Let's finish up this month as a stepping stone into the best year ever. Let's get Nikan really scrambling and having to build out their warehouse and just yeah. Let's reach our some fraction of our potential. Okay. Thanks everyone. Take care.